Please join me in welcoming Jay Gonzalez.
Thank you. I want to thank Drew for having me today and Paul for making it happen, and all of you for being here. It matters to show up to stuff like this, right? I mean, we learned a lot from this last presidential election. We were just talking about some of the consequences of it, but there is this realization, I think, much more acute realization post-election, and this is certainly true of myself, and I've been civically engaged my entire life. But I think there is this realization that our liberties and our democracy and the strength of our communities, these fundamental American privileges, are not self-fulfilling. They need us. They need us to breathe life into them and to protect them and be vigilant about them. And we cannot take them for granted. And the good news is there are groups like you who have been forming all over this state since the election. And I've been going around campaigning for governor for the last 11 months and going to Democratic town committee meetings and house parties. And there are people showing up who've never been to anything like it before. And that is good. And that people are energized, people like you, who apparently have been meeting every 2 weeks, fired up and wanting to do something. And we need to build on that energy and sustain it. And a lot of it right now is focused on Washington, for good reason. We've got a president and a Congress trying to take us backwards every single day. And we need to be focused there, and we need to fight there. But we also need to recognize that the best we're going to do in Washington right now is hold the line. I mean, we are moving backwards, and the question is how far? The only place we're going to move forward is here, in Massachusetts. And moving forward, making progress, that is a fundamental part of who we are too. My entire life, I've been really fortunate. I've been surrounded by people who've proven our potential for progress. The very first time I ever got politically active was the summer before my senior year in college. I went back to my home state of Ohio to work on a campaign for a guy named John Glenn. He was running for re-election to the United States Senate in 1992, and I was running all over the state handing stuff out at county fairs and other stuff. But a couple of times, I actually got to drive John Glenn to events. And it still blows my mind when I think about it, that this man who sat in Friendship 7 and orbited the Earth was sitting next to me in my Ford Tempo. This is a person who literally reached for the stars and got there. I got to serve as a cabinet secretary for Governor Deval Patrick, and you all know his life story. It proves the American dream exists, and he never lost sight of all those continuing to reach for it. And there are many others in my life who've proven this point about our potential for progress. People like my wife, and my daughters, and friends, and colleagues. But no one more than my parents. My mom is from Cleveland, and during college she went away on a foreign exchange program to Spain. 9 months later she came back, married to my 19-year-old Spanish father and pregnant with me. And I love telling that story to parents who have kids going on foreign exchange programs. It really freaks them out. But it all worked out. It was tough at first. My mom had to drop out of college to take care of me. My dad didn't speak English. He'd never been to college. But he worked his way from laying bricks in a city sewer system to becoming a successful small businessman and a proud American citizen. My mom went back to college when I was in high school and became a public school teacher and a member of the teachers union. Together they put all 3 sons through college, and against all odds this year, they celebrated their 47th wedding anniversary, which is incredible if you think about it. So through that example that they set, and just through the way they parented us, they always encouraged us to set high expectations for ourselves. And they instilled in us a belief that with hard work and a little help, reaching those expectations was actually possible. Those values aren't unique to me and my family. Those are our values, American values. And no one has reached higher, worked harder, and accomplished more together than the incredible people of Massachusetts. Think about it. We started the Revolutionary War. We were the first to establish a public school and a public park, the first to recognize one's right to marry whoever you love, the first to make universal health insurance coverage a reality. And the list goes on and on and on. This is who we are. We have always been a leader. But we are not leading right now. Not under Governor Baker. I've been frustrated by how little Governor Baker's accomplished, but I've been much more frustrated by how little he's even tried. He's way too satisfied with the status quo. He's too often sitting on the sidelines when we need him, and it's not good enough. It's not ever good enough, but it's particularly not good enough now with the president trying to take us backwards, attacking immigrants, attacking our healthcare, attacking our environment, attacking our democracy. We need leadership. And by the way, leadership is very different from popularity. It is easy to be popular when you don't do anything, and you never take a stand, and your whole approach to the job is being cautious instead of courageous. Meanwhile, there are way too many families in this state still being left behind, and way too little is being done to help them. And people forget this about Governor Baker. But long before Donald Trump, he failed to stand up to hate and discrimination time and time again. Ordered state police to detain immigrants, reversing an order of Deval Patrick to do the exact opposite. Opposed Syrian refugees resettling in Massachusetts. Defended southern states flying Confederate flags at their state capitals, the very symbol of hate and bigotry and intolerance that we saw on display in Charlottesville. And he stayed silent on transgender rights legislation, only signing it when forced to do so and doing it behind closed doors. Maura Healey had to hold a bill signing ceremony so that people whose rights were protected could celebrate the protection of their rights. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not who we are. And it is definitely not leadership. Now, you all will probably remember that Governor Baker's case for being governor wasn't about leadership. It was that he was going to be a good manager. Well, he has failed at that as well. And I know about good management. When I worked for Governor Patrick, I successfully managed the state budget during much tougher times during the Great Recession, while increasing investment to record levels in public education and in infrastructure, and we achieved the highest bond ratings in state history during that time. Governor Baker is struggling to manage the budget during a period of economic growth. He continues to cut funding for programs that desperately need it, and for the first time in 30 years, one of the rating agencies just downgraded the state's bond rating under Charlie Baker. And the reason they gave is he isn't following the responsible policies we put in place when I was there. And this is supposed to be his core competency and is literally his entire case for being governor. As CEO of a health insurance company that covered low-income people in the Medicaid program, I turned our company around, grew by multiple times. We were considered a leader in addressing the opioid epidemic. So I know about good management, and I am convinced we can do a better job managing state government. But here's the thing. Unlike Governor Baker, I believe managing government well is necessary, but not sufficient. Government is our instrument, not our enemy. It's the vehicle through which we empower each other and support each other and protect each other. And it is not good enough to simply accept the world the way it exists and try to manage it better. We need a governor who's going to see the way the world should be and take us to that place. Let's aim high. Let's aim high. Let's be us. Let's give working families across the state a better deal, an economy that works for everybody, not just those at the top. How about a living wage, paid family leave, affordable housing and higher education, and child care, an issue I feel passionately about? How about this crazy idea? Try it out. A transportation system across this entire state that people can actually depend on to get to work on time. Right? Crazy. Let's aim high when it comes to our dysfunctional healthcare system. I think we need to implement a single-payer system that is simpler, cheaper, and will do a better job keeping people healthy. Let's aim high when it comes to taking on the opioid crisis, which is ruining people's lives and tearing families apart across this entire state. Let's start providing people who are addicted with the treatment they need instead of treating them like criminals, which is what's happening right now. Let's aim high when it comes to other big challenges we face, like climate change, the biggest threat to our planet, and our broken criminal justice system, which is jailing way too many for way too long at too high a cost. And more important than any of that, let's aim high when it comes to how we treat people. We need a governor who sees the value and potential of every single person, who respects everyone, who doesn't need coaching and pressure and second chances to get it right. And I want you to know that if I'm your governor, it will not matter what color you are, what your sexual orientation is, what you believe. whether you are from Pittsfield or from Boston, whether you just came to this country, whether you have a disability, whether you're a Syrian refugee, whether you're transgender. I see you, I believe in you, and as your governor, I will work for you. We have always done better when we see our differences as strengths, and when we recognize that beneath those differences are many more similarities. When we treat each other with respect and dignity and love. So let's do it. Let's aim high. If we do, I know we can build a better future for everybody. That's the lesson my parents taught me. It's the American story. It's what the people of Massachusetts have proven over and over again, and it's what we should expect from our government and from ourselves. And that's why I'm running for governor. I'm not a career politician just trying to get to my next elected office. I'm not going to make whatever political calculation I need to make just to win at whatever cost. That's not why I'm in this. I'm in this because I care about people, and I want to make a difference in people's lives. And if that's the type of candidate you want, if you believe we need to aim high, if you want Massachusetts to actually be a leader again, then I really hope to earn your support, and I hope you will join our grassroots campaign. Thank you very much.